Mike, thank you so much for joining me today on our second ever podcast, which is still unnamed. We haven't thought of the name yet. We're working on it. But today we really wanted to talk about the best times we've ever had in MMOs. And so I imagine today we're probably going to be sitting around like a couple of old farts talking about the good old days. But that
who's
could
the oldest
include
out of us two?
Today. Not me. I'm definitely younger than you, for sure. Yeah, like, I mean, I'm only like, earlier born than you, so I'm not. People in the chat, I don't know if they've heard, but it's not 40s. She's not 42. Arakan said she's like 22. Yeah, so I might not have as much experience as some other people, but
Seeing some big numbers in that chat. See some big numbers coming there.
And anyway, the good times are still rolling, okay? That's all I'm trying to say here. It doesn't mean good old days are gone. The good old days can be now, too, okay? You don't have to be old to take a trip down memory lane. Okay,
that's true.
So I have been watching Mike preach videos for many years. I was actually a big fan watching when I was playing WoW pretty obsessively for years and years and years. But Mike, why don't you go ahead and briefly introduce yourself and just tell everyone kind of what MMOs you've been most involved with, and what you've mostly been focusing on YouTube and Twitch and stuff.
Sure. So primarily, probably most people know me from World of Warcraft because we did that for like 10 years. We were like the #1 content creator in WoW for like 6 years consecutively. We were pretty big there. But I fell out of love, sadly, with the game around Shadowlands. And then I took a big break from MMOs for quite some time because I was very burned out on them. And then I was forced to play the weeby anime game Final Fantasy XIV.
You were forced?
I was forced, yes. I was forced to play by my chat, and I had the best time, surprisingly. I gave that game a maximum lifetime of my stream of 5 days. That was it, and I was going to be out, so I could at least attest that I gave it a fair shot, and played the hell out of it. Like, really loved it so much. But so since then, we did... Well,
so it's good that you were forced to play it, then.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I was totally forced. It was a charity subathon reward tier that I did not approve. My team put it on. They added it on as a troll, and since then we've been trying out. We did Project MMO to try out different ones. We did entirety of Guild Wars 2, which was really exciting. Found a lot of things to love in that game. We tried some Destiny 2, which was hit and miss, it's got some problems. But since then, we've actually been doing a lot of feedback for companies that are releasing MMOs. Some on stream, some off stream, having us look at games very, very early, and then giving feedback on what we think is going on. So the ones that the public knows about, like Blue Protocol, we went down to an event to pre-check that out, only briefly. We only got a couple of hours with the game to give feedback.
Isn't that also a weeb game, though?
It is extraordinarily weeb.
It sounds to me like you're kind of in denial right now about...
Well, I recently played Persona 5 and made it 12
There's only so
hours.
many times you can claim people are forcing you to do weeb stuff until you just admit that you're a weeb. No. Like, maybe if FF14, I buy that. Yeah, but now... Like, once you played FF14 and you like it, that's it. Like...
It's not. I wouldn't have even classed you as a weeb until you went down the Genshin road, and now you've been full degenerate.
It's very freeing in that way. It's very liberating. Just give into it. Just embrace it.
Yeah, I mean, whatever helps you find yourself, right, and discover the inner you. I have tried lots of anime under protest and have yet to be drawn in any real way. It creeps me out. but no. That's it. Okay. And then Palia we tried recently, and we're doing New World again. And we did Wayfinder this week as well, another MMO that's in early access right now. We played a lot of Wayfinder as well. So a bunch of them, a real bunch of them.
Well, what was the first MMO that you played? Was it WoW?
No, it was not. It was called Neocron, and it's still live to this day. It was a brutal MMO. Not for the faint-hearted at all. Very nasty third-person FPS MMO that was heavily based. You could farm gear through PvE, but the intended way was to let nerds do that. And then if you killed them, when you got killed in the game, you dropped a piece of your gear. So if you wanted to gear up, you went murdering people and taking all their stuff off them. So that was my very first... In fact, when World of Warcraft was announced, we all thought it looked so lame because it was like, when you die, there's no real punishment. There's friendly zones. There's all this kind of stuff. It looked like the absolute lamest thing in the world. And I only started playing WoW because my friends did.
Were you the type of person that called other people Care Bears? Were you that kind of person?
I unironically used phrases like red equals dead.
Oh my god, that's what I thought!
KOS. Yeah. And it was a brutal world. Like that. Controlling, because it was one of those games where you captured forts, so you owned parts of the map that gave you bonuses. So having control was a real ego boost. People would have to whisper you to like, can we please use your factories to get the tech bonus? Please don't kill us and things like that. And if people invaded you, then you had to come back in force and destroy them and crush them into the floor to prevent them doing it again.
So it was always power that drew you to it. It's the power fantasy, isn't it? The power struggle sounds like it was all based around that. Seeking power. I was a
teenager. What do you want?
Oh, and you still don't seek power?
No, I couldn't care less anymore. I really
don't care about power?
No.
What?
Not at all. I was saying today, if I could, besides, I don't think there will ever be an MMO story as good as Final Fantasy XIV ever again, right? Certainly like the Shadowbringers Endwalker era, and even Heaven's Ward. So if I could pay to never level in an MMO again, I absolutely would. Like if I think about the amount of time I've spent leveling characters in MMOs that I could just avoid, I would absolutely do that in a heartbeat. I really would.
Well, would you say that actually your understanding of power has advanced and now you see that there is more than just brute strength, but there's psychological power, which is what Final Fantasy XIV holds over us. And as you will soon discover, Genshin Impact's waifus will soon hold over you, Mike. It's happening. It's gonna happen. Anyway, so
hard pass. I'm never saying never. I never say never to anything, but I've just been through Persona. I have had my weeb attack for the year. Like every 12 months or so it comes back again, and I've just had my weeb attack. And so Genshin is definitely way out of the list for now.
For now. But it's happening. It's coming. So you said that you only started playing WoW because your friends were playing it. And I assume it was during that time when literally every single person in the planet Earth was playing World of Warcraft back in the early days. Or was it later than that? Was that BC? Like when did you...
Oh, no, it was beta. Yeah.
Beta?
The way Blizzard marketed that game is they hit every MMO that was going. And then they must have managed to get our mailing lists. Or email addresses, because all of us got beta access to World of Warcraft. Every single person. And we took one look at the video, we saw the silly dwarves and the elves, and we were riding around in tanks and helicopters and bombers, and it just looked lame. But what happened is I went on vacation for a week. When I came back and I logged into Ventrilo, everybody was playing World of Warcraft and having the best time. And I had gone away with this, like, we're the big mean bad guys. We would never touch that fairy game. Came back, and all I can hear is people running around, like, Teldrassil and going, ooh, look at this. Ooh, look at that. Oh, I found the magic crystal and all this kind of stuff. And I was listening to it within 10 minutes of being on. I was like, what are you guys doing? Like, well, we're all playing WoW. It's like, okay, are we going to go and raid somebody? Are we going to go to war? I was actually trying to get, like, a war report from my soldiers because I was the clan leader, and they were like, dude, we haven't logged into Neocron since you went away because you organized all the raids and so you weren't here, so we all just played World of Warcraft and we're never coming back to Neocron at any point. Like
they moved on without you.
Yeah, I was gone for a week and they all moved on, so I tried it out, and unironically, it was like, this game is amazing. This game is so good, and I hated it for it at the time. I was like, I'm such a Legolas loser, but yes, I had the best time.
It reminds me of I watched your video where you said like things I've learned from 10,000 hours of playing MMOs, and one of the things you said was like, try not to apply the preconceptions you have about the game you play now onto the next game that you try. And it sounds like that was kind of essential to this first experience you had with WoW, where you're trying to apply this Neocron logic into WoW, and it just didn't quite work exactly.
Yeah, because it's a big problem that a lot of people have, is that I see it all the time, is we'll be trying a new MMO, and your audience sees that you're having fun with a ton of people, and they want to join in, but they come and play like they try and play Final Fantasy XIV like it's World of Warcraft. And I literally had several people join, boost their characters immediately, because that's what they would do with WoW. And we're hitting training dummies outside the house. And one of the questions, like one of them sent me, was, well, where's Mythic Plus? Where are we going to do,
We're still looking for it, man.
Yeah. They're like, where's the M Plus? I don't understand what's going on in this game. Which class is best? Where are the Sims? Where's all that kind of stuff? They were looking at it as if it was World of Warcraft. I was like, you've kind of missed the whole point of the game at this point. And then they always, we had all of them quit after like a week because they just didn't know what to do. They didn't understand why people were having fun in this game. Like, they kept just seeing people hang around the house, especially our crawler house, which is like a zoo sometimes, like walking around with chicken heads and things like that. And they were like, this game is really weird, and I don't like it, and they left.
I mean, it is weird. Let's be honest. It is pretty weird. So, like, I get that it wouldn't be for everyone. Like, you do need to be a little weird, I think, to appreciate it.
You have to be gradually inducted in it. It's a bit like the anime stuff. You've got to be gradually introduced to it. Because if you do it too quickly, and you walk up to, like, a naked cat boy, and everybody's dressed as a maid, and they're squatting on faces, and all that kind of stuff, you get exactly what your preconception of this game was that made you not play it in the first place, right? It's not like it's the first time people tried to get me to play 14, but they would send me, like, pictures of, like, look how much fun I had last night, and they're all dressed as, like, Power Rangers. And I'm looking at them going, are you joking? We're progressing Mythic right now. Like, why would I play this game? They're like, dude, we got Power Ranger outfits. It's so good. Oh, we spent all last night making the house look pretty. We put a hot tub in. Now we can have hot tub parties. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm focused on, like, getting a 2% upgrade. Shut up. I'm farming this and this. And then those guys come over to FF14 and jump to Endgame, and they're like, I don't get it. I don't understand what's going on.
The end game is the hot tub parties where the cat girls sit on your face. Like, that's it.
It is, but you need to be ready for it later, right? I didn't join the FF guild until after I'd done A Realm Reborn. Like, they made the crawlers midway through or something like that through my A Realm Reborn journey, and they were like, we've got a guild going. I'm like, I'm leaving it there because I want to experience the game before we go to that next level, which is the guild. And then suddenly, people start... I made the honey yellow outfit, and then people started wearing honey yellow, and then gradually there was like a joke, so someone dressed as like a cat boy, and then there was another joke, and now someone's a janitor, and then you've gone down a dark road. And I'll tell you what happens is my wife hadn't seen this game, and she's like, what's going on? And they built a haunted house, because we've done the haunted house competitions together, and they had made a haunted house in-game that was better than some horror games. It was extraordinarily good because all the people were role-playing in the haunted house. So I went and got Emma, my wife, and I said, come and see this. It's awesome. All she saw was degeneracy. She didn't see anything. She walked around and she's like, why is there like this guy dressed as like a maid? Why is someone squatting on a tiny Lalafell person? And she went, are you playing this game? Is this like a sex game? And I was like, no, appreciate the horror that they've made. It's so good. And they're like, she's just looking at it with the perspective I would have had day one of going into that environment. And she just walked away saying, I don't know what you're playing there, but I'm not comfortable with it, is what she said to me.
I remember that. Wasn't there the sex dungeon, though, with the people hiding that were all locked up in the cage downstairs. Remember that?
That was one member.
I mean,
it was really dark, that, actually, because not only did he trap all them NPCs in a cage and surround them with tiny little quez, he poured water on them from hoses. He was like hosing them down. But he built it ironically to be funny, to freak me out, right? But if I show that to somebody else, like, hey, you should come play Final Fantasy 14, and showed them that, they're never going to touch this game. They're like, what are you
I don't
guys
know.
doing?
It really, I think it reveals a lot about who you are. Like it, because some people, yes, there's two kinds of people in the world. There's people that'll look at that and say, oh my God, what is this? This is disgusting. What are you involved with? And then there's people who are like, tell me more.
Yeah, there are.
How do
and
I
then
get
people
in there?
play Persona 5 and have a good time. Whereas I go, I can't, this game is making me so uncomfortable, I have to Alt F4 out of this cutscene, which is what I did. Like,
Did
I'm
you
so
really?
done.
What cutscene?
I did.
Did you?
It
what
was
cutscene?
a 16-year-old girl taking her clothes off in order to, not seduce, but to get something out of a guy, an artist, who had asked her politely to do nude modeling to paint her. Like, he'd done it in a professional way, but very clearly when she started taking her clothes off, he was very sexually attracted to her. And I tried to put this in perspective. If I was 16 and 17, that was like when Duke Nukem came out. And I absolutely spent, as I was trying to say, I'm no angel. I absolutely spent like 20 minutes giving $1 to the strippers in that game to see some pixelated boobies. 100% I did that at that age, like doing that over and over again. But now there are like 15 and 16-year-old girls who are like the daughters of our friends. Like, I literally went on something called Ride the Lights, an event here in the UK, where we took 12 people and we ride these bikes, and they're all illuminated in the dark and stuff, and it's really cool. But they were like, those are the girls that I now see at that age, and playing a game where that's happening just made me really creep out. And I'm like, I can't do this.
Honestly, I feel you on that. That sounds totally understandable. Like, we all have the line that we have to draw somewhere.
Yeah.
But usually you can find some ways to just, discover.
If it's in fun, that's fine.
Yes.
If it's in fun, that's fine.
I kind of agree on that.
Yeah.
So what do you think that, like, when you think back to good old days of, like, when you first got really immersed in MMOs and you realized, okay, I think I'm really serious about this. I want to do this long term. When you think about the good old days, like, what kind of memories pop in your head? Like, in any game?
Few. Yeah, so what's always drawn me in video games is overcoming something difficult. Ever since I was a kid, I've played games since I was 5, I think. And beating something, that joy of beating something that your friends couldn't do, I always loved. Like, like GoldenEye on the N64. I was the first person in my school to unlock an achievement that gave you invincibility. And I had to go to their houses and do it for them because they couldn't do it. Like, I made not real friends, but people who were like, please come to my house and do that.
Oh my God.
Mortal Kombat on the Mega Drive, they forced me after the first week to sit. So my television was on like a big chest of drawers. In order for them to play multiplayer with me, they have to sit on the floor and not look at the screen. So they could look at the screen, but I couldn't look at the screen. And in order to play the game. And doing that always attracted me, which is why when it was Neocron, not only was I, and you probably experienced this yourself, finding like-minded people in the real world who share your extremely niche joy in a video game is almost impossible. Like that, nearly everybody in my family games and my friends game, but none of them like the niche thing that I like specifically. They'll all play WoW, they'll all play FF14 or whatever, but they all do different things. And so when it got to Neocron, I got drafted into a team that absolutely shared my passions. Like, they saw it as completely the right thing to do to spend all night trying to get 2 or 3% more damage so we could waste the other team and beat them. And so the memory of our first time taking a factory in that game where we won cleanly was something that made me set for life. But in World of Warcraft, honestly, it was probably like the first time we beat Shadowfang Keep, because a close group of us re-rolled together, and it was the first real dungeon that was like Ragefire Chasm, which is generally a free dungeon anyway.
Yeah.
But Shadowfang Keep's the first one with like mechanics going on.
Yeah.
And we were really underleveled, and we wiped 5 or 6 times to Aragal, the last boss, until we came up with crazy strategies with people stood on ledges and all sorts of things, and then we beat it, and I was hooked for life. Like there was nerd screams over beating that. It was so good, and that only got better. Like the first time killing Lucifron in Molten Core with 40 people, like the idea of that is what drew me into the game. It's like 40 people, and I refused to play WoW for quite a while. I played the beta, loved it. Then everybody, a lot of my friends were American, so in Neocron it didn't matter. But when the actual game came out and the beta ended, the Americans went off to a different server. We couldn't play on it, and so our EU guys were half into it. So I left World of Warcraft for a while, went back to Neocron, and then I came back because my brother was playing. He said he'd get me a guild and do all that kind of stuff. And that was when I fell in love with that. And it was always that overcoming the challenge as a group, figuring stuff out, making it work. And the first time I ever stood in a group of 40 people in front of those Molten Giants, I couldn't imagine playing any other game. And I literally didn't for like 10 years. I barely touched any other video game at all.
Yeah, we're very similar in that way. I also had that experience of raiding Molten Core in the early days. And also went into Blackwing Lair. I did Encourage, I did Nax, and there's just nothing quite like going into a raid like that with 40 people, good and bad.
It's weird.
It's amazing, but it was also, I remember people going AFK literally every 30 seconds. So, like...
Well, the Classic came out, and I did play up till level 60, and we did Molten Core. I had a lot of nostalgic fun the first time through, but when it came to doing it again, it's not the same. Like, I played that game so much and made so much content on it that I see that game like The Matrix. I don't even see the fun side of it as much anymore. I see the path this system takes me on, the pros, the cons, the tweaks, the modifiers that need to be made. I don't look at it like a video game anymore. Which is why WoW Classic Hardcore was really fun. I did that recently, and I got to relive it as a video game again. And I think that's what was so fun for me. But that's been a long time in WoW that I felt this is a game and not like a job, and I look at it as a video game.
Yeah,
because I haven't for a long time.
I completely understand that. We're going to get into the hardcore stuff in a minute, but I wanted to just mention the fact that you're talking about your experience with Aragal and like coming up with all those strats for that on your own and like working through it and achieving that as a team that had communicated and worked towards that together. That seems to be like a main thing that has always really motivated you. And you introduced me to that recently because you took me into a raid in WoW recently. It was completely blind, and I have never done that. I did not do that. And it was actually incredible because it was so chaotic. I had no idea what was going on. So you just have to take every little piece of information that comes at you and just try to work with it and remember as much as you can, absorb as much as you can. And it was a completely different new experience for me. And it seems like that's something that you've been doing just kind of automatically since day one. Like that's always the way that you approach bosses.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Only since leaving World of Warcraft. Because I was content creator and, the PvE guy, I had to do all the raid testing, I had to read all the dungeon journal, we did everything, full spoilers all the way. And plus we were a top guild in the world. There's no time for blind progress during that. Blind progress is slower. It's the nature of the beast. And if you want to keep players who are capable of being a top guild in the world, you can't be like, okay, we're going to YOLO it and see what happens. Like, they're not down for that. They want to kill it as fast as possible and claim that world ranking.
Of course.
That's what they want. So it was only... I did try it in WoD. I stepped down from, like, top world rating for a little while. But it became kind of an issue. I made it known, because I was already, like, a content creator at the time. It's like, look, I've always spoiled myself on these bosses, and I want that blind experience. I'm not going to look anything up. But I believe I'm good enough that it won't be a big deal and I'll pick it up pretty quickly. But ultimately we'd get to the boss and the raid leader would explain the fight. So it's like, okay. This really doesn't particularly work in any way. So I tried for that a while, but now I do it in every game as much as humanly possible. I do it in not just raiding, but we did it in Path of Exile, and we did it in. We're doing Terraria right now, and I don't know if you've played it.
No.
But Terraria full blind, Zep, is a ride. It is insane. Like, so fun. Crazy fun.
Mm-hmm. Well, one way to make any encounter harder is to just take me along. Because I'm not
we
going
had a great time, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. But I do
You
think
played
I'm like...
extraordinarily well.
I think I'm like an affix on a team.
Oh, no. I made it abundantly clear. I've never got a chance to play. I've never had a chance to play with you, right? And it's always awkward when you meet, and it's happened, it's sure to both of us, is you play with somebody who's in the content creator space and they're not very good. And it becomes very clear very quickly. It's like, and in the back of your head, you're like, we should maybe take a break for an hour and then see what everybody wants to do. Yeah. You know, like, because you don't want to upset anybody, right? You don't want to be like annoyed with them because they're usually your friends. But maybe we should take a little break and come back tomorrow or something like that. But no, like playing with you, like your determination and your adaptation was you got put in a nearly impossible situation and you made it through. I was massively
Wow, I really appreciate that. It's very kind.
Oh, for real, that's not blowing smoke up your ass at all.
I
was pretty clear.
Have you been in a situation where, like, you were committed to a raid group where some people were definitely underperforming, but they were friends? Like, what do you do? Like, how have you dealt with that?
That's a good question. It changed my whole perspective on people. The Burning Crusade. So I was the raid leader and guild master for our Burning Crusade guild. I poached a lot of very good players at the end of vanilla who I'd made friends with on the server, saying, look, obviously they reduced the raid size from 40 to 25. So I started whispering people real early saying, look, I'm going to be making a guild. I had a decent enough reputation. I'm going to get the best players and get some of you out of bad situations because some people are in really toxic guilds. Mm-hmm. And we're going to make this new guild. So it was going well until a lot of people backed out at the last minute because people started to find out what was going on and they got a lot of offers like gear priority and things like that. And things are going to change, blah, 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 blah. But midway through the Burning Crusade, it became very apparent that and this goes back to what we said earlier about finding people who are in the same niche goal as you, is that my drive to be the best was not matched by the rest of the guild at all. Like, not even close. Like, my passion and drive was leaps and bounds above what the guild wanted. They kind of were happy killing the bosses in a reasonable time and not being, like, server first or anything like that. Just having fun with friends and doing decently well, like, very well, but not, like, at the top tier. But I needed more. Yeah. So I joined... I told them quite openly, it's like, I'm thinking of leaving, and they actually were okay with it. Like, we were very close, and they said, "Dude, we get it. Like, you want a lot more than what we want, and ultimately, it's going to end up with you like pushing us too much, and we'll all leave." Like, they knew where it was going. Mm-hmm. It was very obvious. So I moved on to a World 40th guild, which was pretty good. Did an interview with them. It was first time like having to do an interview to join a guild. You know, we had to sit down. I got asked all these really nerdy questions about threat per second. What would you do in this? Because I was a tank, so I got like, what does block value actually do for us? What is the ratio of your shield slams and all this kind of stuff?
Wow, cool.
Yeah, it was really intense. But it turned out I played with the guy who elevated me massively. Like he actually came and stayed at my house. We became extremely close friends. From Greece he was. But I got in, and then they said, we are looking for other players. Is there anybody you'd recommend? So I kept in contact with my old guild, for sure. They were my friends. And there were a couple of players who I felt, when I played in that guild, and I was leading them, were my reliable people. You know, as a raid leader, you have those people that if you have to assign a job to, it goes to them, because I trust them to do it.
Right.
And so I had like maybe 3 or 4 of those players in my pocket. In order to reach out to and contact who we're still close with. So I said, yeah, I can do that. Biggest fucking disaster ever. Because I didn't realize just how much better, really, this guild was than my old guild. Like, I had fit in quite well. I had learned, I had proved myself and done fine. And so I said, look, you know, I've got these, it was like a resto shaman, a resto druid, and something else. Because it was Sunwell, so we needed like 5 or 6 resto shamans, right? And so I said, I've got these guys, they'll play, and they joined, and I've never seen people fail so badly in my entire life, to the point that it reflected bad on me. Like, I started getting whispers from the leadership, like, are you trolling here? Do you owe these guys money? Like, those were the questions I was getting. It was like, is this a favor? Are we supposed to gear these people? Like, what is going on? These guys can't do anything. And at that point, I stopped really recommending people unless I 100% knew that they were god tier gamers, like statistically, you know, on logs and things. So I was like, yeah, I can't do that anymore, and it was a real shame because I loved those people, you know, and I still do to this day. Like, I still talk to some of them, but it just turned out that they were trash, and it got so bad on me as well. I was like, fuck, what did I do here?
Well, I mean, sometimes that can happen where it's just hard to accurately gauge how people that you're close to are compared to your own performance, because you just want to hang out together, like you want to play together, but sometimes there's like different goals you want to pursue that will inevitably split you apart, and it's just the way it goes sometimes. That's why a lot of times it's difficult for devs to create content that appeals to a wide variety of players at different skill levels, because like it's kind of sometimes just impossible to put everybody in the same thing that's going to make everybody feel like they came out of that with the same like thrill and excitement, because excitement is going to be defined differently for everybody. Fun will be defined differently for everybody too. And yet we're all in this big MMO space and we want to hang out and be friends. So sometimes it's weird when those kinds of goals clash with each other.
Well, I always call it a buffet, right? And I look at an MMO as a buffet. There's different things for all different people to enjoy. Like, I got called an elitist for a long time because my goal with YouTube was to get people up to the joy I was having, which is in mythic raiding. But I always made it abundantly clear. It's like, if your skill and progress level is normal mode, and you guys work hard to overcome that, and you get that sense of achievement, I could not be happier for you, like, at all. Because that's what I'm chasing, is that sense of achievement. That's what I want to do, that overcoming that obstacle. It doesn't matter if it's mythic or normal or whatever. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. If you guys are cheering at the end of what you did, amazing. That's so good. Like, that's so fun. And that's all I wanted for people to do. But obviously for me, that was mythic. Like, that was where I was playing. For other people, it's heroic.
You mentioned a second ago about not wanting to treat the game like a job. And I have definitely experienced that myself, where like it's such a weird position to be in as a content creator and a streamer, because your job is to have fun. Like, the job is to play games and have fun. That's what you need to do, and you need to have as much fun as possible doing that. But of course, in the process of wanting to excel at that job, you can get caught up in a lot of stuff where you start to like analyze everything. And this can be true even just for the attitude you take towards a video game. Like, super hyper analyze everything, how it went. You get into all the numbers, you get into all the charts and graphs, and like really super focus on how everything could have gone better. And sometimes in the process of that, you can get distracted from having fun in the moment.
Yep.
So, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, I saw your video actually recently about some of the issues FF14's having, or you know, that you felt they were having, and I almost watched myself during Shadowlands, right? Like, this feels exactly the same, and a big part of it, I think, is the genre of MMO has changed, certainly in the last 5 years. From MMOs were typically, at least like 6-7 years ago, with the game that you chose your MMO, or whichever one fit you, and that was your one game, like, pretty much. And you were invested in that solely day in, day out, and that was what you were going to do. But the whole genre of gaming has not only changed, so we've got tons of choice out there. A lot of it's free to play that gives thousands of hours of experience, of fun experiences, and quickly, and doesn't have you grinding. And there's really wonderful things to do, and there's a lot more MMOs out that also provide these experiences. Is what I liked about FF14 is it felt more seasonal. Like, it was very clear to me that a lot of people just play 14 for the story. Like, they don't even know about treasure maps and things like that, or they do and they don't care about all the... You can play FF14 day in, day out. Absolutely, you totally can do that. But you're going to start digging into all the areas of the game to do that. Whereas some people just want to play the MSQ. They'll log in, they'll play the MSQ, and then they'll unsub.
Yeah.
And they'll go away. And it was really refreshing to see Squeenix was okay with that.
Yeah.
They were fine, because no MMO can create enough content to satiate a day in, day out desire. Certainly if you're, you know, in the, like I was back in the day, playing 14, 16 hours a day, without you ending up playing alts, and is ultimately doing some pieces of content that you wouldn't ordinarily choose to do. Like, going back to that buffet idea, it's like, well, I've eaten everything that I would choose first. Now I'm going to the thing I would choose second, third, fourth, down the line, in order to do it. And and also you end up waiting for content because you've eaten everything and you're waiting for the next, you know, the next patch, the next whatever it might be, in order to be delivered to you. But when it's your job and you're known for that one game, that's when it becomes a problem. And I'm actually, now you've brought it up, I'm seeing that with my old WoW content creator circle, who are still just doing World of Warcraft. I know the new patch is coming soon for World of Warcraft, right? And what I'm seeing is a lot of videos starting to pop up from those content creators saying the game, and similar to what you made with FF14, is there's nothing for people to do and people are leaving. And the game is dying and all this kind of stuff. But I have a different perspective on it. I have a different take. Yes, that is happening. Unquestionably, people are dropping out. But that is by design. And in fact, Blizzard has accepted that as well, that they're more of a seasonal game. And they're okay, just like Squeenix is, with people coming and eating what they like, but then going away because their memory of that is so good. And so happy. Like, that'll disappear if the MSQ sucks, right? Like, if, you know, if their piece of the buffet starts to be spoiled or whatever, then they won't come back. But as long as it is, and they come and they have a really high quality meal, high quality gameplay experience, and then they can go and play something else without feeling like they've missed out, that will work out. But when you're a content creator and you're like, I pushed out a video pretty much daily on World of Warcraft for like 10 years.
Yeah.
At that point, you really are kind of looking for what the hell to talk about. And because your audience is expecting it, and then you start talking about shit that you don't really care about that much. And not only that, minor things, really minor things, get right on your nerves, and you get so angry. And I remember I made some videos, certainly towards the end of my time making content on WoW, where I was angry, like physically angry, making this video over something that nobody fucking cares about.
At the time.
No one really cares. I don't really care. But the difference is, an ordinary, anybody who's not doing like content creation as a job, once you've made it your job, and the game is dry, you still have to play. Whereas a lot of the viewers will be like, oh, WoW's kind of boring right now. I've been playing X. I've been playing Y instead. And you're like, I actually am jealous because I can't do that. I literally, if I don't pump out a video about World of Warcraft or whatever it is, like at least every couple of days, then people are like, oh, channel's dead. Mike's fallen off. He's quit the game, whatever. And you end up talking about all sorts of shit. And then you end up missing out on massive gaming experiences. Like everybody else is having a good time, but you're not. I remember so many times, like Path of Exile's launch, my entire Discord of my guild was all of them playing Path of Exiled. And I had to make a guide on like a survival hunter that would nobody plays anyway, because it's like bottom tier meta. And WoW's a meta gaming game. Nobody's got to play it, but they want to watch the video of me play it. They want to see that.
They want you to do it.
So yeah, I'm like, are you coming to PoE tonight or League of Legends? We're doing ARAMs all night, and it's like, no, I've got to play fucking Arcane Mage that nobody plays, so I can learn about it. And they're like, okay, and years go by, and like it's now the untouchable game. So that experience really wore me down. Massively.
It definitely can. It's surprising that you were able to like hold strong for such a long time and just keep at it. Like, I think it speaks a lot to your dedication and really your passion for the game. But
okay, I always wanted it to be better. Yeah,
it's really. Sorry, what were you gonna say? Go on.
No, you're right. I wanted it, everything I made was, although I was angry, is because I could see it going further and further downhill. And it was, and that's what I said about your video in FF14. Is like, this is important. Although I didn't agree with everything you said, but I looked at it from my perspective of having gone through this in WoW. It was also like, this video is important because I probably made the same video you made. Just, in fact, I did, like, just after the Battle for Azeroth Alpha came out. I put out a video. I was like, there's problems here, and it was years before it actually culminated in the exodus that we saw from World of Warcraft. Those videos are important for like devs and stuff to listen to. Not to say you have like super importance on content creators, but it also came from like authors. It came from other people. It wasn't just you. You were like, there's some warning signs here, and that's how it should be looked at. Not a rant video.
Yeah.
I'm just putting up the warning flag to say something's not right. And I can feel it. And I've been here forever, and I'm just telling you, something's not right. Something's wrong. What exactly it is, I don't know. But there's warning signs here that should be paid heed to, because it might take, with an MMO as popular as 14 on World of Warcraft, it might take 4 years for the warning signs we saw here to actually result in a cataclysmic event.
Yeah.
And raising that flag early, I would rather be wrong and raise a warning flag that's maybe just my biased opinion than not say anything and be like, I told you so, or I could have told you so, right? Which is even worse. I could have said something back then and maybe this wouldn't have happened, or maybe somebody would have paid attention. Not that we have that much power over the devs or anything like that, but on occasion, they do watch our videos. They do pay attention to them, you know, like that happens.
They
and
do.
You can see it with 14. Yoshi P knows the content creators. The feedback gets back to them. So it's like, it's important, you know.
I just think what matters is that you're honest about it, and you know that whatever you're trying to say, you're saying from a place of like a clear-mindedness. Because for me, I did take a 6-month break from Final Fantasy 14 before I like made that video, just because I wanted to make sure that whatever was on my mind, like I really felt, and it wasn't just coming from like, oh, I'm burnt out, or I'm just, everything's negative all the time. Like I wanted to make sure that I really felt like this is stuff I believed that were warning signs that I just wanted to share. But something you said actually was kind of made me think. You mentioned about how it's like a buffet. What the content that you have on offer is like this buffet. And if you just always eat the same old thing and then you ate it all and there's none left, you might just go to another restaurant for a while. But something that I think I've learned to do lately is just try new things and like try other stuff. Like you might be surprised by some of the things that you try at that buffet that you might actually enjoy a lot more than you thought you would. And so I have been trying to not get, it's easier said than done, but not get caught up in the rat race.
100%.
Of like, let's just, okay, what's the next video? What's the next thing that I need to analyze and I need to put out the guide for? Blah, blah. I really am just trying to, in the moment, each day, find something that I know I will enjoy and take it one day at a time. And I have been having a pretty good time doing that. Just like, it doesn't have to be a huge new patch all the time for me to have fun. See all the rat jam. Yeah. But you really can, just by paying attention to what you're doing at the time, have a lot more fun overall.
100%. And there's absolutely nothing. I think that, and I found this when I stopped, when I announced that like, we're not doing the daily World of Warcraft content anymore. So many people who felt upset, betrayed, and like I was a traitor, because if you love the game, then you should be playing it every day. And that's the mindset they got themselves in, even if you're not having a good time. And it's a very toxic mindset, in my opinion. It's like, if you're not having a good time,
what's the point?
Why are you doing this to yourself? But you're right. Like, one of the things I try and do because we test a lot of MMOs and we play as much as humanly possible within reason for my life. But trying different things, you can be surprised. Like, I've tried pet battles. I don't like them, but I didn't dismiss it out of hand.
Yeah.
I went and tried it out to see what it's like. I've tried PvP, and I'm not a big PvP guy, but of course we went and did the Crystalline Conflict to see what it's all about. Let's go and try this out. Let's go and try that out. Treasure maps I brought up earlier. I kept getting them, but I didn't know what they were until we spent a day doing them, and I gotta say we had one of the best days I've ever had streaming Final Fantasy XIV. Was just doing treasure maps all day. with a group of people, and certainly as having everybody involved in whether we were going left gang or right gang, and having votes on which way we should go.
Yeah.
Are we going to win? Do we fail here? And as a fun piece of content, I don't want to do it like every day, but like going and trying that out was just like, oh, I tried something new today and it was awesome. No, I don't want it every single day, but it was really cool. I had such a good time doing it. And you should, I think it's important if you are an MMO player, is to not pigeonhole yourself for some weird reason. And some people do that. It's like, I only raid. I only do this. I only do that. Like, why? Like, have you tried the other things? No. I don't want to do those things. So, like, they might have made something really cool here. Go and test it out. Like, at least, you know, give it an hour. See what's there. Because one of the strangest things I get feedback from, and you probably have the same thing, is, oh, there's nothing to do in the game.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? An MMO with like a decades plus of content has nothing to do. And you're like, what did you do? Oh, well, I cleared the latest raid. All right. What, did you try anything else? Well, no, I only like raiding, so there's nothing else for me to do. I'm like, really? Have you tried Eureka? Have you tried Bosnia? You know, in terms of 14, have you done the old trials? You know, you can level sync, so you could do them as close as possible to their original versions as possible. You can do that with extremes. You can do it with savage raiding. There's ultimates to do. Even just in the raiding sphere, let alone going out and doing beast tribe quests and things like that. Oh, I don't do dailies. I'm like, they're not the same as World of Warcraft, and it comes back to what we said earlier, is like looking at it through a lens of what other MMO you've played. If you say dailies to a WoW player, they expect it to be like, oh God, are you going to have me in there for like 2 hours grinding some trivial ass quest and then make me do it again the next day? No, no, you're not. That's not what it's like. But if you say dailies to an FF14 player and then they go and do a WoW one, they're like, what in the hell is this? I've been here longer than 10 minutes and it's not done. What are you talking about? Like, and then you're telling me I need to do them because it gives me some sort of power reward? Why? Is it not just for a mount?
Like, or minion, you know, or something.
That's why you've got to look at it differently and say, oh, this MMO is going to give you different things. Certainly the successful ones. The ones that fail try and copy the other game, and it's like, I already have this at home. You know, if it's WoW at home or FF14 at home, why would I play this one? Right?
I do think that that's one of the beautiful things about being a new player that maybe we don't realize straight away, is that as a new player, you're going into a world usually with much wider open expectations than you would for a game that you've been playing for a long time. Because you're like, okay, this is a new place. I don't know what's going on, so I'm going to try a bunch of different things. And you're more open to trying a lot more things than you might be if you've already settled into your rut and your routine and your habits of what you always do. And I really think that letting go of a lot of that expectation will help you have a much, much better time. Like, I did this Alliance raid that just came out the other day, and Alliance raids are super easy, okay? Am I happy with them being super, super easy? No. But you know what? I still had a fantastic time because I went in with totally different expectations. I thought, well, I'm just going to enjoy it for what it is. Maybe it's not the difficulty that I want, but I'm just going to enjoy it as much as possible for what it is. And I got in there, and it was one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in an MMO. It had incredible music. The bosses were fun to do. And I just, you know, that was enough for me. You know, do I have complaints? Yeah. But those complaints don't override my ability to have fun in the game at all.
I think it's important to recognize this content isn't for you.
Yeah.
Right? That's the way. It can be, but it's not designed for, like, the Savage Raider. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's the way you've got to look at it. I mean, LFR and WoW stuff is the same in Dignity, right? It's like this. Raiders will call that content trash, garbage. This isn't teaching anybody anything. It's rubbish. It's the worst thing ever. It isn't for a mythic raider or even a heroic raider. It's for the people who don't raid at all. That's who this is for. It's for them to see this giant piece of content that these devs have worked on for ages, be in a raid-like environment, get some nice, easy gear, and be completable by somebody who doesn't raid, comes home from work, wants to jump in and see what the raid is all about and see these giant bosses and have a successful run and then finish and go and have dinner or go to bed. That's who it's for. That's who it's designed for. So when I see people argue that, like, it should be removed, it's trash, it's garbage, and similar with Alliance raids, because I've seen a lot of it on Twitter. I've actually seen varying reports. Like, I saw, like, Arthur's really didn't like it.
It's been all over the place, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not doing it till Monday. So I've got it. I mean, you know, it's like you can't really stream FF14 on new patch day because like people absolutely do not want to see you do the MSQ or anything.
Yes.
And so you end up doing like portion pieces. So I could do like just the Alliance raid, but then I'd have to like switch game again, and then people get annoyed. So I'll just leave it till Monday. I'm fine with that.
Makes sense.
But I've seen mixed reports, and I'm like, it's not for the Savage and Ultimate Raider. It's not who this content is for. And if you go in thinking like, with that perspective, like you just said, it's like, I know this isn't going to be a hard raid. I'm here for a cool story because I love this. I think the Alliance raid story in 14, current one, is the best one they've ever done.
I really like it too.
Yeah, the story, you get Graha, Tip Top, and the gods, really fun. Turning into critters and all sorts of stuff. And
one thing I would say regarding what you just said is maybe it's good if we stop putting ourselves into a box of like, I am a Savage Raider and this is what I do. You know, like I'm an Ultimate Raider and this is like, might as well just put a label on me and that's all I'm doing. I don't care about anything else. It would be like, I guess lately I've been wanting to encourage people to see themselves as like broader than that. Like you might be a Savage Raider, but you might also be a lot of things you don't even know you could be yet. Just don't close yourself off to different possibilities that are. But we are getting a little sidetracked here. I know. I feel like I could talk to you for several hours just about all kinds of different things. But back to the subject of like, you know, best times that we've had overall throughout the years.
That was question one, I think, wasn't it?
Do you think that you've changed over the years with how you play? Like, you said that you used to really seek out power, or you used to be more like focused on that kind of stuff, but now you have changed and you appreciate story things more than you used to?
Not more than I used to. This is a kind of widespread public misconception.
Okay.
Not of my like regular audience, but like people who know of me rather than know me. The thing that makes me love video games so much, and I have since I was a little kid, is primarily story.
Really?
Like, yeah, because it's actually, this sounds really pompous, but it is relevant. Hideo Kojima, when he made PT with Guillermo del Toro, he was explaining why horror games are so much better than horror movies. Because unlike in a horror movie, you have to push the stick to make your character go through that door. And that adds another level to the entertainment process than a movie does. In a movie, the character is going to go through the door, they're going to face the scary thing. But in a video game, you physically have to push yourself forward. You have to be the one to decide to do it. And depending on your tolerance levels, that can be an actual anxiety-inducing decision sometimes, certainly in like a horror genre or something. And PT was a great example of that because, you know, you had to move forward to make the lady do a certain thing, and she's horrifying, and you're like, I physically have to go closer to her, and, like, get right in her face, and like, that even though that's in the horror sphere, I apply that to everything. Is in video games, I usually get to make the choice of what I want to do. Be that raiding, killing the boss in a super hard, difficult version, right? Instead of the easy version, or whatever it might be. Or in a story, sometimes we get less choice than we would like, but being invested in a character so much and having to push that story forward is why, for me, video games are the best thing ever. Like, I love them so much. I hate World of Warcraft story, is what I was going to say. That's the only game story that I like. People always said, oh, Mike hates video game stories. No, I hate the World of Warcraft story, like, very specifically.
Oh my god.
That's the difference. Everything else I genuinely love.
But I think I remember you saying that you did not ever cry in a game before Final Fantasy XIV. Is that true?
Yes. Yes, that is 100% true. No.
It
has a caveat to it. It has a caveat to it. There is a notorious game that I played on my stream when I was trying to branch out of World of Warcraft and introduce variety to the channel, which, as you know, as a content creator, is terrifying because we all see it. If we don't play our main game, that audience number drops like a cliff.
Yeah.
And it's really demoralizing because you realize there's a lot of people who are not really here for you. They're here for the game. They just like the combo of you and the game. Without one or the other, they're not going to stick around. And it's really heartbreaking because it's like, the guys are here because they want that game more than they want me, right? Which is really heartbreaking. But it was a bank holiday in the UK, which means everybody gets the day off. And my audience was primarily UK based. So I said, we're going to play a one-day game because it's bank holiday. I can stream all day, it was a time when I couldn't really stream all the time. And I picked this game at random, which was getting really high reviews, called Rhyme. And I'm not going to spoil it, but it was possible when it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of work, and it crumbled me so hard that not only did I end up bawling my eyes out, so did most of my audience. And I actually got a lot of negative feedback because I ruined people's holiday.
Oh my god!
They were like,
"It's your fault."
Yeah, they were like, okay, thanks, Mike. Now I'm sat here crying my eyes out on my holiday from work. I can't believe that you did this to us. Like when it all falls into place, it's made by one guy, and it looks like on the face of it a silly little platformer. And by the end of it, my whole audience was devastated, crushed, because we were joking, because Rhyme is a proc for Frost Death Knights in WoW.
Yeah.
So it started off really funny. It's like, oh, we're playing Rhyme, lol, 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 Frost DKs everywhere. And then I think it's like a 4-hour game. And by the end of it, we were like, this is absolutely horrific. Like the worst thing ever. But other than that, one time, yes, FF14, I think Shadowbringers ending, I cried 5 times.
Yeah.
In total, like that whole day was, I had to take a break from the game after that. Like,
I've had that experience too.
Yeah, I needed to not play.
Yeah, it just can be emotionally exhausting after like one huge emotional moment after another. It's like a gut punch after another. That happened to me in Endwalker. I remember there was a certain point in Endwalker's story where I just started crying, and I feel like I did not stop for like hours until it was done. And
I did not cry in Endwalker. It didn't get me.
Actually, if you've seen, and I think you did watch my reaction to the Loperates, and they squeezed that in, like, right between some of these horrific, like, really emotional cutscenes. And even though, normally, and I was very excited, I was very excited to meet the Loperates, but I feel like I was not, like, I was so emotionally drained at that moment that when I saw the Loperates,
silence.
I'm like, yay!
I expect you to squeal with delight, because I don't know if you played the other FF that they're in, without spoiling which one it is.
I've seen it all. I watched all of FF4. I didn't play it.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, I'd never played any other FF before 14. So I had no idea that something like this could possibly exist.
Oh my god.
And when it happened, I was shocked. So I was like, I can't wait till Zepla sees this. I need to see what her reaction was.
Shirt on.
And I checked it, but you were like in complete stunned, like happiness.
I was just drained at the moment. I'm like, yay, this is really good.
Yeah.
I
wish Endwalker got me as bad as, but Shadowbringers, I don't know, like that character Emmett Selk is so good, like easily.
Yes.
I would argue best video game antagonist of all time. I've played thousands of video games that have come close, but I think Emmett is number one because he's so relatable in his cause that you really feel for him. Like by the end, you know, and the same with Elidibus. Like Elidibus messed me up as well. I was like, this is like dealing with somebody with Alzheimer's. Like it's really sad.
Yeah.
Like what we're doing here.
Actually, true.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's not his fault. You know what I mean? It's almost like a rabid dog that needs to be put down.
Mm-hmm.
It's not his fault. And there was a time when I probably would have loved this person. And like, when you think of it that way, and it hits everybody different. Like, I know Jeeth, Jesse, a friend of ours, who also got into it. He used to be a lawyer who dealt with child abuse cases and stuff. And like, when he did Gaius's quest line, Will It, like, he was going into that, and I almost wanted to like warn him, but you can't, right? It's the code of honor of the FF14 first-time players. It's like you can't say anything. You have to kind of let it happen.
Yeah.
But I almost wanted to like reach out to him and be like, because he's got 2 daughters as well, and I'm like, oh, 1 daughter, sorry, and I was like, yeah, like there's moments in that story. I love. It's beautiful, and I love a macabre story. Is, you know, and I'm down for the darkness and the burn out the bad and all that kind of stuff.
Burn out the bad.
Burn out the bad.
Burn out the bad.
Yeah, I almost passed out voice acting that guy. I remember I put so much into it. I actually was lightheaded.
Do it right now.
No, it's too much. Like, it'll freak people out.
Come on, just do a little bit.
I can't even get into the character. I was in the moment, like,
Burn
genuinely.
out the bad.
Yeah, I went completely over the top with it. And it messed me up for like a good hour or so, like doing the voice acting.
We'll find the clip.
Yeah, it's easily findable for sure.
Cut that in. I'll tell the editor.
Woohoo, editor. Find it.
Would you say you've ever grown very attached to a specific character? Like, overly attached? In any character?
In a romantic way, or?
No, not necessarily.
I feel like you try to trap me here, but the answer to the romantic side is no, I don't get the romanticization of digital characters. But
you just haven't played Genshin yet, that's why.
Apparently that's the only issue. That's the only one thing stopping me.
Would you believe me if I told you that I cried my eyes out sobbing over a Genshin story I did last week?
Not if it hit you in the right way. No, I don't think that's strange. Yeah, I would believe that.
Okay. Well.
Yeah. I don't know anything about it. Like, for all I know, the story is extremely good. But I saw that you fell into a pit of despair, and I was like, well, I'm not touching that. There's no way.
That was already... It just reveals what about you, what was already true.
Yeah, I dropped into your stream a few times to say hi, and I didn't like what I saw. That's how I put it.
It's only because you're afraid of your future. That's all. Like, it's going to happen.
I don't feel afraid. I just feel uninterested. And I look at my list of games to be played, and I'm like, I would rather do that. Okay.
We'll wait it out. But
coming back to what you said, though, yes, Garlemald. I hated Alphino for a long time. I always adored Alizé's character, and still is my #1 character. Absolutely adore Alizé, but I hated Alphino. I would have happily kicked Alphino off of Volcano if I had the opportunity to do that. But he grew on. It made me realize how much my opinion and growth those characters had had. Is that I had gone, and I remember my audience just laughing hysterically. And that I went from hating Alphino so much that every time he showed up on the screen, I just wanted to punch him in the nose. That when they slapped the collars on in Garlemald, without even thinking, I remember saying something like, if they hurt those two, I will burn this motherfucker to the ground and kill everybody in this room without blinking. And then it really dawned on me how well told the story is, Gigakawa forever, that these characters had changed from these A Realm Reborn, certainly Alfie, obnoxious little twerps making the Crystal Braves and all that kind of nonsense, to characters that I was so invested in that the even prospect in a story of them being hurt, not killed, hurt, genuinely made me feel like I need the option in the game to butcher everybody in this room, because I'm the warrior of goddamn light and I will kill you all without... And then... yeah, that attachment is something I haven't felt for a while. Going in,
it's really nice.
Something like that.
About how a game can make you feel like that. I think a lot of us do feel that way about our own characters too. And Final Fantasy XIV is very good at making you care a lot about this character.
Oh, it doesn't. Bar none. There's no MMO that makes you care about your character more than that. Like I made, because I never intended to play Final Fantasy XIV longer than 5 days. That was the hard limit I'd set on it. So I wouldn't end up like Quinn, who played it for like a day and like shit on it and like. I'm done with it. I didn't want that kind of meme going around about me either. So I was like, I'm going to give it a fair shout. People raised a lot of money for me to try this game. I'll give it 5 days. So I really didn't care what race, class, whatever I was going to be. So we gave it to a public vote. So the name Floor Inspector was a public vote. That was something I think Bex came up with, or the chat on the Discord. Wait, you let
chat decide your character name?
I let chat decide the character name and my race. Because I 100% figured they would give me a stupid name. Because at the time, because of baldness, they were calling me Hairgon Jin, like Star Wars. So I figured it was going to be like Hairgon Jin, and it was going to be a Lalafell. I was like 99% sure that we'd left it up to them. They'll pick the name, and they'll pick the race. Obviously, Lala's going to win. Yeah, there was a poll. They had a vote on what it was going to be. And for some reason, Floor Inspector won, which I thought was kind of cool. I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. I like Floor Inspector more than Hairgon Jin. We'd used that name in several games. And then it wasn't Lalafell. It was really close, though. I think it was like 1%. And I really believe if they'd actually chosen Lalafell, I would have hated the game. Because I don't like Lalafells at all. Like, I find them as childish and creepy. Like, they really creep me out. But so I ended up as the female Rogadin that looked like Michael Cera. And in A Realm Reborn, your character has no emotion, so it was pure poogas. Every time my character came on screen, my entire chat was filled with poogas because my character was like, "Buh," all the time. It's like, you know, you've got Minphilius saying the world's going to end. This is crucially important. What do you think, Warrior of Light? And she's like, oh, I don't know. Just nods all the time, like, like all the time, like drooling.
So like it made for a while.
Yeah, like in Realm Reborn, your character is just the absolute turnip of the entire team.
Yes.
So my character looked ridiculous, looked funny. But when I changed, I fantasiaed for a party because it was like everybody's getting dressed up. We're going to this party, which I also didn't want to go to because I thought it's going to be a sex club. It's going to freak me out. But we're going to take you to a party. The guild was adamant we're going to a party. And so I was like, oh, I got into the spirit of it. Like, okay, we'll race change. We'll go full degenerate for this party. But when it gets weird, I'm out. I'll give it an hour. So I went like either bunny or something like that. And objectively, it's animated and looks better than my Rogadin, right? From an objective standpoint. From my
bunny?
opinion.
Well, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The next day, I logged in, though, and I totally went to bed that night thinking, oh, I'll just keep it as that then. Now I've had an excuse to change it away from what the chat chose. And I think it took one cutscene. I was like, this is not my character.
You couldn't do it.
No, this is not my character. And I sat there feeling it. It's like, this is not the Floor Inspector. The Floor Inspector is the big Rogadin lady with the Michael Cera face, which I would never choose. I did, and I changed it back immediately after one cutscene. I was like, I can't do this. Even though, yeah, it's a prettier character, it's better to look at, the animations are better, etc., etc. I was like, I can't do it.
Just like with Alphino, you got attached without even realizing it until it's like in danger of being gone. And then
so worthwhile though.
How much you appreciate.
It's well worth the time.
Yeah, I remember I actually watched a video you did recently about the legacy of MMO dungeons. I had a little cameo in it. We mentioned it at the very beginning.
Thank you very much for doing that.
And I know you said that Dead Mines was your favorite. The hey you, check out that noise dungeon, right? Mm-hmm. Now you're making me angry, and I know that's iconic. But what about your Final Fantasy 14 dungeon? Like, what would you say is your favorite among all the ones you know so far?
Okay, so I do not know the name of any of the dungeons in Final Fantasy 14.
Okay, just describe it, and we'll guess.
Yeah, exactly. It's not out of disrespect. It's just that when you're playing and consuming the content so quickly, you generally play the dungeons only once, and there are a hell of a lot of them in Final Fantasy 14. There's endless. There's a lot of this must be like 50 dungeons or something. Like there's a crazy amount of dungeons. And I mostly have played them once until you get to do experts and things, right?
Yeah.
One of my top dungeons is actually in a Realm Reborn one, where you're climbing the windmill, and it had the most beautiful music I had heard in a dungeon ever. It was
Farrah Sirius.
Yeah, probably that one. And it reappears in FF12, I believe. That's where they got the inspiration from. That dungeon, when that music started playing, I was engrossed, absolutely engrossed. My number one, though, I believe it's called Stone Vigil, but it's the first dungeon of Heaven's Ward. This does not mean all the dungeons are shit, by the way. There's some really high ones up there, certainly the Shadowbringers ones. But it was reading the story of what happened to those soldiers throughout the dungeon.
Oh, yeah.
Where they turned to like cannibalism. They were waiting for rescue.
It's a Dusk Vigil. Dusk Vigil.
Yeah, that one. Like, going through that dungeon was... Because Heaven's Ward had started to really grab me then. Because Realm Reborn is fine. It's decent enough. But Heaven's Ward was like top tier. Like one of the best RPG stories I've played. And so that whole feeling of being in that... The dungeon itself, mechanically, it's not the best. right? But my experience in there was great. Like I was totally engrossed in it. It was wonderful. Amarot objectively is probably better, but for my personal experience, it was that one, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more gritty ones. It seems
That's
like
what
you
I like.
enjoy
Yeah.
you like the Zombla dungeons then, because Pharaoh Sirius also has a lot of Zombla soldiers in it too.
Couldn't care
So
less. It was the story. I couldn't tell you. I think there's a boss in there that's like a dragon. Like I remember the experience
you
based
don't
on the
even
story
know.
rather than the gameplay. No, I don't. I probably only done it twice. I really do. I'm not lying when I say that. It's like,
I believe you. I believe you.
yeah, but people do think I'm lying. It's like, how do you not remember this stuff? And I'm like, because I did it once in a massive 60 dungeons in the total of thousands of dungeons I've done in games over the years. Like it's the memory of the story that stuck out to me so much.
What was the hardest boss you've ever fought?
The last one I ever truly progressed. It would be the Stone Legion General's Mythic in World of Warcraft.
Really?
Hard for all the wrong reasons. Like, utterly broken. Absolutely one of the... I think it's voted universally amongst raiders as the worst boss ever designed. I think that's a pretty solid conclusion by
How long
everybody
did
who
you
ever did it.
spend on it?
Not long. My guild was extraordinarily good, but too long for us. Maybe 2 weeks. So that would be for us 6 raid nights, something like that. Which for my guild is a ludicrously long time to be on one boss. But yeah, that's the last mythic boss I ever progressed because I did not kill Side and Athreus mythic. My guild disbanded immediately after because of Stone Legion generals. They killed Side. Yeah, they killed Side and Athreus, which was for the FF14 players. The Stone Legion generals was the penultimate boss. I was not needed for the last boss on my character, so I sat for that one. Because obviously you have a roster of a lot of players, and they killed it in about a day.
After that,
They disbanded. They disbanded while giving out the loot.
Oh my god!
I didn't know either. It was actually it was a sore point for a little while because I'm friends with the guild. The guild has been to my house. They've all been to PreachCon. Alex is somebody I cast with on the Echo team for the Race to World First, and we're still very close. We're very, very close friends, by the way. But they didn't tell me that they were going to disband the guild because Alex was the guild master along with his brother. And so they were the guild masters. And they didn't tell me, but all of the writing was on the wall. And I had asked, like, that. What annoyed us, we had a little bit of a personal issue for about an hour because we're friends. We call each other up on this kind of stuff. But I had asked him the week before, is everything okay? Because you can tell me, I can see there's some problems and some people are leaving. And this boss is actually the worst thing we've ever encountered as a team.
It's destroying your life.
It was ruining the whole atmosphere. Yeah, it was. I never knew a bunch of players who had so much fun playing together fall apart so quickly because of how frustrating a single boss was. Like it absolutely crushed everybody's spirits and made everybody want to quit the game. So yeah, they killed the boss literally as they were looting the boss. Alex, I had to watch the VOD because it was streamed. Alex and Loz, his brother, just said, so we'll just let you know the guild is disbanding. We're stopping raiding. Well, it didn't disband as in like kick everybody out. They just like, we're stopping raiding. We're done.
Yeah.
That's it. We're not doing anything else. And I found out the next day when I logged in and there was a guild message saying, guild stop raiding. We're done. And I called Alex. I was like, what the fuck? And not only that, you made my last progress boss, unless I decide to raid again, Stone Legion fucking generals. Really? That's what I'm going out on? And it was like, I'm so sorry, bro, but we couldn't do it anymore. I was like, yeah, I understand.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's just the only way forward. It's just you burn yourself out so hard, you just can't even.
I could feel it coming, but that's why I'd asked. Like, yeah.
So earlier, people in chat wanted me to ask you, why do you think every boss is the easiest ever? Why do you think that?
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, apparently, chat thinks that you think every boss is too easy. And do you really? Is that
That
why?
sounds like a real World of Warcraft era question with elitism written all over it. Like, that's the kind of question I get during the WoW days, and I'm still confused to this day. I've never said anything like that in my life. I don't know where that comes from.
Oh, it's probably just because you're such a good player, and maybe they're jelly.
Yeah, that's why I'm nicknamed the Floor Inspector. That's why. Well, the problem is I stream to an audience of people who've one-shot every encounter they've ever met in their entire lives. And I don't realize this until after I've died to it for the first time on blind, is that they all did it blind and all easily killed it straight away. So I'm just terrible, is what happens.
Okay. The other thing that they wanted me to ask is, what's the best guild you've been in, and why is it the Crawlers?
For friendship and fun, Crawlers, definitely. I recently got to spend time in Australia with several members of them. I'm meeting them FanFest, of course, and PreachCon. There's a glorious picture of the Crawlers at the last PreachCon, which I think over 100 of the Crawlers came.
Wow, that's awesome.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I love seeing them. In terms of raiding, it would be the prestigious Bald, Fat, and Ugly. Yeah,
I'm in that one. No, I got in there.
Yeah. I wish you could have been there when we were raiding. I think you would have gotten very, very well with them. It was It was a guild that you had to have a certain temperament to be in that guild. But if you've clicked, you were in the perfect place for you. You were in a good place.
I was in a guild like that in vanilla long, long ago, 3,000 years ago. And, I don't know if I should share this. I don't know if this is okay. My best friend in that guild was our paladin, one of our paladin tanks. And his name was Agak. And I said, hey, Agak, why is that your name? And he was a Scottish guy. And he said, that's the sound a girl makes when I put my... You know what? Never mind. I shouldn't have. Let's just move on to the next question. So the next
sounds like she's choking or she's vomiting. I'm not sure.
She's
yeah.
Anyway,
but very close second. Kill count lost.
So are there any life lessons or skills that you've taken away from your time playing MMOs? Anything you've learned over the years?
Yeah. 100%. Most people across the planet are kind of the same. It doesn't matter where they're from. Like, I've had some really weird experiences with people in MMOs. Not to get too preachy, I know the name. Nearly the shared interest doesn't matter where you come from or anything like that. And MMOs in particular, gaming in general, but MMOs in particular allow you to play with people from literally all corners of the planet on a regular, friendly basis. And I've been in raids where there's been a Palestinian and an Israeli who had to pretend that neither of them knew where the other person was from, and they could never directly answer each other on voice comms in case somebody was listening to something in their countries, right? Because of the tensions there. Right. And I've also raided with a really good friend of mine who was Iraqi while my country bombed his country. That was happening near where he was gaming. And all these moments, from the good times and the bad times, just show me, like I said, I was literally in Australia and New Zealand recently. Everybody's kind of the same. Everyone's just looking to have fun, and nobody's inherently bad. And I take that away from MMOs is people can be jerks sometimes, but generally speaking, no matter where you grew up or what you're doing, certainly if you're into gaming, everybody's kind of looking out for the same thing and just looking to have a good time and take care of their families and stuff. I know that sounds really ridiculous, but it is what I took away from MMOs. Because I've played with thousands and thousands of people, and 10 or 12 bad eggs I've met in my life. And I think it's important that we recognize that sometimes, because how many people hear the news and everybody's awful and terrible, but I literally met today alone probably 30 people I've spoken to outside of the gaming world. All really nice, really pleasant. Talk to the person in the corner shop, really nice, really pleasant. Talk to somebody in the gym, really nice, really pleasant. All those things, and I see it in MMOs all the time. It's like I log in and everyone's like, "Hey, let's all have fun.
Yeah,
let's do it." And that's kind of what people want to do.
That's really beautiful.
And that's MMOs that gave me that.
That's so beautiful, Mike. Thank you for sharing that, especially right after my story about Agak that really turned things around. So thank you for that. Also, we're going to meet in person, actually, pretty soon.
Finally. Are you going to show up?
Well, probably. Yeah. there's a pretty good chance that I'll be there. I got the plane ticket. I just need to get my passport renewed, which is going to happen.
You still don't have your passport? You know it's in like...
I'm going to do that today. As soon as we're done, I'm going to go and get it renewed. Yeah.
But you're going to BlizzCon, right?
Yeah.
So we've gone from you ditching every meetup for 3 years to seeing each other twice in a month.
Yes, you're going to be so sick of me. Like, you're going to be so tired of my shit.
Maybe. I'm actually dreading. I mean, I've got you some gift bunny ears here to go with. I mean, it's going to be a big meetup of all sorts of people, right? We're going to see Arthur's, Lamatod's going, Jordan.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a huge amount of people coming. You're lucky you're on the list for the party, which is oversubscribed by 94 people now, last I checked, who can't get in, which is really unfortunate. But it's going to be a good night. There's some FF14 real-life DJ stuff going on. Very popular DJs in the FF14 community. So there's all kinds of... Yep, it's going to be a good night.
So there is one thing that I wanted to ask you about still. And that was... do you have any tips for me in WoW hardcore for times whenever I want to go into a mine or a cave? Do you have any advice for how to navigate it?
Even though you're trying to bully me right now, change your goddamn screen. What is that nonsense that you put in front of your audience?
Well, maybe if you had a cinematic mode, you wouldn't have had such a non-cinematic death, Mike.
Well, I got baited hardcore. But I'm going back in February. I've put it on the list. I'm going back in February.
Are you really?
Back in. Yes, and I'm going to win. I'm currently preparing for a Terraria hardcore run. I'm going to do a WoW hardcore run, and I will get to level 60 first time, no problem.
Well, I'm going to beat you there, because, I'm level 35 already.
You've been playing for like 6 years, and you're level 35. Like, you're trash at that game. What the hell is going on?
Look, I had somebody come in my chat, and they were like, oh, I didn't realize when I'm watching hardcore that I'm watching someone play like a pansy. And it made me so mad. It made me so mad. I'm like, well, I might be a pansy, but I'm surviving. I'm a survivor pansy, and that's how we're gonna play. If you don't care, then you can leave.
I get it. I get it. I was. They bought me. Chris bought me a heart monitor for that game.
Oh, that's a good idea.
It's not like it. I think my heart rate went from resting, which was like I don't know, 80, 70 something. To 130 when I died.
That's such a good idea. Do you still have it? You should use it and do...
I do have it.
Are you still using it?
I am using it again when we do another hardcore style run. I haven't got one... I'm preparing for one right now, but I don't have one in the works. It's not soon, so I will wear it then. Oh, there she is. Here's the other one.
Hey!
Here comes the Lalafell.
Okay, Mage. Hello. Welcome.
And you two... I'm actually dreading you two being in the same room. That is going to be so freaking loud. Like, painfully loud.
You two being in the same room?
Yep.
When's that going to happen? What was that?
FanFest.
FanFest?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've still got to do YouTubing there. Like, content and stuff.
Probably. What?
I still got to do content at FanFest?
What content are you making at FanFest?
You said you're going to be YouTubing at FanFest.
No, I said you two, you and OKMage being in the same room.
Oh, I thought you said you're going to be...
It's going to be one of the most painful experiences. Yeah.
It's going to be very good.
And Daisy as well. And Andrea, the whole
combo. Okay, well... Man, I really do feel like I could talk to you for many hours. We'll probably have you back on to cover a bunch of other stuff I didn't have time to get to today. But before we close out here, I want to ask, what are you looking forward to in MMOs right now? Like, what's on the horizon that you really just can't wait to sink your teeth into?
Right now, my biggest excitement is obviously the new WoW expansion is going to be announced at BlizzCon. I'm really looking forward to see what the next stage of things are. They should be carrying the story over across expansions. If they make that decision, I'll be really happy. And I want to see what they've reset everything with Dragonflight, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they have next. FF14, I don't know what I'm going to do with Dawn Trail. I have considered, although people are very against it, not playing Dawn Trail for like 6 months.
What? What? You better not. You better not wait 6 months to play Dawn Trail. Are you crazy?
Don't you? I mean, you probably didn't have this experience, but being able to come into FF14 and have the whole MSQ, being able to back it, is so wonderful. And I'm not in that position anymore, and I've been playing the MSQ, like, along with everybody else, like when it comes out. And there are definitely things I forget. I need to get back into what these characters are doing a little bit, and then it's a bit bite size, and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of a little frustrating.
Okay, here's what you should do. Do the 7.0, and then take a break for a couple patches. And then you can do a few patches back to back. But you gotta be there for expansion launch, Mike. Come on.
I can't play it on expansion launch. That's impossible.
Okay, well, like a month after.
Yeah, something like that. I haven't decided what we're going to do yet. It's actually a serious conversation. It's like, what are we going to do for Dawn Trail? Because I don't know. It's also partly my audience. Is we have ingrained into my audience, like, it's so important to not spoil things. And my audience is really respectful of that. Like, they will go to town to make sure I don't get spoiled on anything, to the point of absurdity. Like, I will ask straight up a question like, hey, is there actually something here? And all I get is a wall of shrouge or smile. And they won't tell me, even if I'm begging for the answer. Like, I'm going to Google this in a second. And just be like, I don't know. No idea. And they all know the answer.
No,
but I also have to respect them. You don't want spoiling either. It's like Baldur's Gate 3. Game of the year, probably, right? The Zelda fans are mad, but
who did you romance?
I'm not going to play that. I have not played it yet. I'm playing it in December.
Oh.
Like I said, because I know that they want to play it. All my audience loves RPGs. Yeah. They want to play it. They want to experience it. And then they want to go along for whatever journey mine is, which might be different to theirs, might be the same as theirs. They want a Pepe laugh as, it's coming.
Yeah.
He doesn't know. And that's a great stream experience as well.
I love that too.
Yeah, so I said, look, Baldur's Gate 3 will be our Christmas game. I'll put it into December. We'll play it in Christmas. Nice. I've waited years for it. I can wait another 4 months or whatever till we play it. Mm-hmm. And it's, Shrews Japan, which is the classic one. So all that stuff, I think that respect has to go both ways. They respect that I choose to play a game that they've played for like Terraria, right? That game's been out for what, 10, 11 years? I can tell you now that even with the thousands of people watching me play it, none of them have spoiled a goddamn thing. And when new people come in, it's like, who's this guy playing Terraria or whatever, some new viewer, they're like, shut your mouth and just come along for the ride. And then they get into it as well. They're like, oh my God, like this can't be happening. And it's totally happening. And it's really fun. So I respect that back. In fact, FF16 was kind of an eye-opener. I played FF16 at launch because I thought, oh, it's a single player. And it's on PS5, which if you haven't got a PS5, you can't play it anyway for like 12 months. And nobody wanted to watch it anyway. Like what we saw is like the stream numbers were really low. And then we finished it, and since people have played it now, our VOD viewing of that on like YouTube has like skyrocketed. And people are like, now I can watch it, right? Now I can experience it. Now I've seen it for myself, or I've played it for myself. So
it's a long game to get through. I think that's a big reason why.
Well, a lot of side quests. a lot of side quests to go on in that one. So yeah, like it's one of those decisions. I don't mind personally. It's not like there's a shortage of video games out there and fun things to do. I don't mind waiting a few months, which is why Dawn Trail, but I want to play Dawn Trail. Obviously, I want to play it, right? It's not a case of I personally don't want to play it. It's what works best for the audience and for both of us in a symbiotic kind of way. So that's why with the Dawn Trail, I'm like, we had dinner with some of the crawlers recently that were in Manchester, so we all went for dinner together. And I brought it up there, and they were like, dude, no, that's too much. That's too much. But in many ways, I wouldn't mind, although it'd be horrible, skipping FF14 for like 2 years.
What? I will come over there right now. Get on a plane right now without a passport.
But then I get the whole story. Like Hildebrand, I love. And I get cock-blocked every time. Like, it's about to get amazing. And then it's like, but wait till next time. Wait till next time. And it's going to be months and months and months. So
it's always going to be like that. There's always going to be a cliffhanger. So if you can't just keep putting it off forever and ever and ever, that's crazy.
That's not true. Like if you look at someone like Jordan, who's incredibly lazy, right? I tried to get her into, or OK Mage, I tried to get her into FF14 like 3 years ago or something. Or no, that's not true. Like a year and a half maybe. And she refused and started in Endwalker. She literally got to play from ARR all the way to Endwalker and get the complete and full story in one lovely cake, right? And there's us feeding off Yoshi P's crumbs as he like scoops them off the table whenever he feels like it.
Yeah, well, that's how we all do it, okay? And that's just the reality of it. Yes, you do have to, because even if you wait 2 years, there's gonna be crumbs again. So why wait for crumbs later when you can have crumbs right now, Mike?
Anyway. You tell me. I've never been there for a launch of an expansion. Like, what do you do?
Well, I prepare the ceremony. I prepare the blood rituals because I'm preparing to renew my contract with Yoshi P and the Dark Lords of Amarat to make sure that I do not play or talk about any other game for the duration of that expansion. So we got to renew it each time. Didn't you get the memo about all this stuff? Didn't you know that?
Do you stream it from day one?
Yeah. I mean, I might wait like a week. Okay. But that's like a year in Final Fantasy, Tom.
I know, it's a lot. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like, oh, I can't. It's a very different from like, I don't, yeah, it's coming. The expansion's coming, whatever. That's not the feeling. The expansion's coming. I can't wait to see where the story goes, right? I'm totally down with one of the new characters. I don't want to spoil it because some nerds, well, one in particular is probably here who doesn't know what we're talking about. But I am totally down with what's going on. And I really want to see where this is going, like after the warm-up we've had. And so it's not a case of I don't want to find out, but that waiting for the next bit of story and all that speculation, it's a killer.
Someone in the chat's like, she ain't waiting a week. And honestly, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll see how it goes.
Okay, well, I really appreciate you coming on the show today, and I wanted to know if like there's anything else that you wanted to add before sharing your socials and stuff, Mike.
No, just thank you. Like, I know we've never met and we're going to meet soon, but you've been awesome in so many ways. You've helped us out. You've joined in bits of content, and I feel like you've been just really welcoming and awesome. Since I started playing FF14, I'd never heard of you before that. And then just one of the people who was like, welcome aboard. Let's talk, let's do stuff. And everything we've ever asked of you besides actually showing up in person, you said yes to immediately. And it's rare you get to spend time with people online that you've never met who will accuse you of like being a criminal and kidnapping people. And stalking you apparently down the streets of California and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, that happened, but I forgive you for that.
Apparently.
That definitely all did happen for real. Okay. It's just, I think I have a certain kinship with the WoW players and the WoW community because that's where I came from too. I came in the WoW, WoD era, Warlords of Draenor era. And so I really see myself in the WoW players that came to try FF14 too. And so there's we have a bond there, even though you wouldn't pay my bond when I was in prison and I had to call your
frankly,
to get me out of jail. Okay, that's fine. It's just hopefully that won't happen next time in London.
I got you a FanFest ticket.
You did. That's true.
You couldn't get one because you suck.
That's true. Okay, that's true. All right, that's true. You got me. So where can everyone find you, Mike?
Type Preach Gaming into Google and you'll get everything immediately.
Hey, awesome. Yes. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. I had a great time. There's so much more I want to talk to you about. We're definitely going to, I just threw my carrot. Have you on another time.
Anytime.
Yeah. See you next time.
Good luck with the podcast. I'm going to go and have my dinner.
Appreciate it. Bye.